Hello and welcome to Sports Console, your playbook for all things sports. I am your host Matt, and I'm here with G and Bryant for this episode of the show. The fantasy playoffs are just 4 weeks away, and the trade deadlines for many fantasy leagues are fast approaching. We share some insights on the players you should be targeting for your fantasy playoff rosters. Plus, we have a brand new Listener League recap for Week 10, and we reveal our starts and sits for Week 11. Today's November 11th, 2025, and this is episode 195 of the show.
195? We're like 5 episodes from 200.
Glad you noticed that, Bryant.
You know, that's that USC education.
Yes, reading numbers. Learned that in college.
Episode 200 loading, coming up.
It means we get to look at our 50 episodes ago predictions. Is that not right?
Yeah, and I already know what they are because, they were a year ago. It's not going to be
I don't remember any of them. I don't remember any of them. I was going to say, I don't remember any of them, and I don't want to. I don't remember them. I mean, that's nothing of like I actually wanted to say, probably.
Yeah. But today is episode 195. We got a very packed agenda. But once again, we are Sports Console. And G, where can the people find Sports Console?
Well, for the people that are looking for Sports Console, I'll make it nice and easy for you today. Go to your favorite social media. You go to Twitter, you can go to X, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, Facebook, wherever you're on. You're going to go to your search bar. You're going to put in sports_council. And I'm talking about all those social medias I named, same handle, sports_council. You can follow us, which is also free. Put some notifications on for our tweets and our other podcast alerts. And then what you're going to do after that, you're going to look at the bio of all our social medias. You're going to go ahead and click on that Discord link. And then you're going to join our Discord, which is also free. We don't even charge for you to join our Discord. Isn't that wonderful? Once you're in our Discord, you're going to be able to chat with us, talk to us, hear about the, big alerts in the NFL first. So we're going to have our reactions there. And, you don't want to miss anything. And if you have anything for us, that's the best place to find us. So one more time, sports_council, all your favorite social media, Discord link in the bio.
Yes. It's getting to that time of the season where it's very important to stay up to date on everything. So follow, subscribe, listen to all our takes, discuss with us. We welcome it. Well, we're going to start off with the Listener League recap for Week 10. And once again, we have another very special recap. And we're going to go to it right now. We pre-recorded it, me and G did. And we have a very special guest on it. So why don't you take a look? All right, this is our Week 10 Listener League recap, and if you're not a part of the Listener League, you can go ahead and skip ahead, maybe 10 or 15 minutes, but I recommend you don't do so because for the first time in our Listener League, we have a brand new listener recapping. He is known as Microphone Assassin in our Listener League. This is the first time he's joined our league. How you doing, Mr. Microphone Assassin?
I'm good. I'm doing good. Got to win this week.
Hey, that's huge, man, and we're happy to have you on. Thanks for coming on and doing the recap for us today.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just real quick, I do want for all the listeners to know for some context, how did you end up kind of joining this league and kind of getting in here?
So I'm friends with Mr. Tango Licious. He got me into the Money League, and I saw your Discord and decided to join the Listener League because I do listen to the podcast occasionally.
That's awesome, man. I love hearing that. Shout out Gav. I know he hasn't been on for a while, but we do miss you, even though he probably wouldn't be on for this
That
recap.
might be a stretch, but
I miss you, Gav. G does not miss you, I assume.
Yeah, I mean, it's like one of those love-hate relationships, right?
Yeah. Well, either way, why don't you start us off with the recap here, MA?
Sure. Yeah. Oh, me?
Yeah. I was like a microphone assassin. I was like,
okay.
I can't say that all the time. I was like, let me shorten this.
You can call me J-Rock for short.
Oh, okay. All right, J-Rock.
Okay. So, first matchup, we got J-Rock C. Kittens, which is me, going up against Better Woman Respecters, Mr. Gav. I beat him with a score of 116 to 89.
Well, isn't that ironic? Huh? The guy that brought you here, you're beating his ass when you're
Yeah,
doing
he
the
did.
recap. Wonderful.
He whooped my ass in the other league though because he had JT. But
It's okay.
I got the win in the league that's talked about. So
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
We might not get money, but the pride is more matterful here.
exactly.
Sam Darnold, 5 points? Are you kidding me?
Yeah. His boys had a rough week.
I mean, come on, dude. He started the first 4 starts are Sam Darnold, Jordan Mason, Kenneth Gainwell, and Malik Washington. That's like I
Yeah, I
feel
don't
like
really
you can't even
understand that.
you can't expect to win if that's your
he-
starting 4.
He did have CeeDee Lamb, Chase Brown, Brandon Aubrey, and Javonte Williams on bye. So we'll give him that.
You got him on the right week, yeah. So
Yeah.
that's what matters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, and then the second matchup we've got fucking trash ass team
Dance me. Let's go.
against useless waste of sperm. Fucking trash ass team won 169 to 139,
There we
and
go.
yeah, Jahmyr Gibbs 38 points.
That'll do it. Yeah,
Useless waste of sperm put up a good fight, but it just wasn't enough.
it's unfortunate because this was one of his better weeks as 12th place. You feel bad for him. I mean, I played him, so I don't feel that bad. He put up 140 and lost, but basically would have beat almost everybody else in the league. And
Yeah, you had a pretty good score this week.
yeah, that sucks though, man. When you're 12th place and you put up 140 points, you think you're going to get a win? No, sir. You're playing the number 1 scorer in the week.
Yep.
And there is a little twist to this matchup, but I think we will explain that after the recap here.
All right. Next matchup, we've got YMC3 younger than ever.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Matt against Fourth Down Syndrome. Mr. Matt won with a score of 168 to 129. Devon Achen had 40 points for you.
I love that man. What a
Yes,
beautiful
very good.
man.
Very good.
Talk about
week for Devon Achane.
shocking outcomes of the week, right? Like the Dolphins, almost 20 popping
Oh,
the
yeah.
Bills, and Devon
Yeah.
Achen going for 174 is like not on my bingo card.
I don't think
Impossible.
anybody saw that coming. The Dolphins beating the Bills, the fraudulent Bills. Oh, and your defense put up 23 points. Wow.
Yeah, the 2 DeMarcus Lawrence touchdowns definitely helped
Yeah.
out there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, thank you, G, for dropping Aaron Jones on the waivers. I mean, I gave you Travion Henderson for you, and you dropped Aaron Jones, and I was able to pick him up because I was really struck. I didn't have a
So
single
I had
flex
Aaron Jones all year.
anyway.
He did nothing for me. Nothing.
Yeah. I literally had to pick up 2 different flexes because all my guys were hurt. So I had Tez Johnson and Aaron Jones. Both of them popped off. Tez Johnson with 2 touchdowns, which, probably doesn't ever happen again, but very grateful for his services. And Achan, man, what can I say, man? You're a beautiful young man. You are like the representative of what this whole young men's club is about. So thank you. And sorry about that, Jamar. I know you're hurting a little bit, so sorry I had to do it to you.
You also had Nico Collins, who that fourth quarter comeback win against Jacksonville, 22 points.
Finally,
Davis Mills.
this is what I want to see, man. No more,
Maybe they
no
just
more
gotta keep
CJ.
Stroud on the bench. Yeah,
Yeah,
Stroud on the bench.
I don't need to see that anymore. Davis Mills all the way.
I'm down for that.
Oh man.
All right. Next matchup, we've got Team Nando versus a whole lot of baby mamas. Team Nando lost to a whole lot of baby mamas with a pretty low score, 72 to 97.
Shitter of the week.
Yep. That's definitely a interesting matchup.
Yeah, this was the rivalry game. Nando versus Dylan. They hate each other with their guts, and no one scored really. But Dylan ultimately, like he usually does against Nando, ends up on top. Dylan
That
is
sounds
away.
insane.
He's like, he is not in the country right now. We don't know why, but I'm sure he would be talking a lot of smack right now if he was here.
Yeah. Unfortunate his boy, DJ Moore, put up a 0 burger.
So these Bears wide receivers, man.
It's hard to predict what's going to happen with them. I don't know. Like it's Loveland one week, and then the next week he's like not there, and then next week it's like DJ Moore's not there, and then it's like it's hard to predict like what they're doing.
Yeah, just bad points all across the board, and it also had to do with that Monday Night Football game, a low score of 10 to 7.
Yeah.
Yeah. somehow Josh Jacobs still got 19 for Nando, which I think was a lot for that pretty bad football game.
Yeah, it would have been even lower score if he didn't get a touchdown.
Yeah. That definitely would saved the night for Josh Jacobs. And it's so funny that you said this is like a rivalry game, Matt, because it's like, in the NFL, the two division teams play, and it's like a low-scoring game. It's like this would have felt like with Dylan and Nando this week.
Yeah, this is the Broncos Raiders of the game.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. All right, next matchup, we've got We Are So Back, B-Chain, beating Josh .0 with a score of 149 to 120. Good week for Mr. We Are So Back. He started out the year 0-5, I believe.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and now he's back into playoff contention at 8th place. We'll get into the full rundown of like the positions, but that man has made a resurrection of the ages.
For sure.
He beat the best team in the league right now. He was the top seed. Props to Bryant, man. We tell everybody every year that even though you start 0-4, it's about how you finish, and it looks like he's finishing pretty well.
Yeah, definitely. George Kittle, 23 points. Drake London, 24 points. Rome Odunze, 20 points. Good game for him.
Yeah. Kamara, back from the dead, 14 points.
Oh, yeah. That guy's a bum. But
all right. 14's a lot for him, though.
Yeah, this year it is. All right, last matchup of the week. We've got King Mitty Whoop'em beating Celtics with a score of 132 to 124, probably the closest matchup of the week. And his boy, Mr. JT, Jonathan Taylor,
did it all.
49 points, 32 carries, 244 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 receptions for 42 yards.
Jesus Christ.
Yes.
I don't even know what to... That man put up an historic performance for Mitty. And it's just sickening because he had JSN, who did that, I feel like, a couple weeks ago, had like a historic performance. And then you always have Puka as well, who always feels like he's putting up like 30, 40 bombs every other week. So it's a team to be reckoned with.
Mitty's got 3 Maseratis in his garage right now. It's like he's got a big 3 of JT, JSN, and Puka, and it's absurd to have to deal with that.
Yeah, and he would have had more if he would have started Caleb Williams over Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I don't know what went on in his mind there. So.
Yeah. Honestly, I was watching that game and I was like, they can't just keep handing the ball off to JT. Like, he's going to get hurt. But nope, he just kept getting the ball.
Doesn't apply to him.
Game-winning touchdown in overtime in Berlin.
Yeah, that was a hell of a game.
What more can you ask for?
Yeah, that was an electric game by him. Probably one of the most impressive performances of the year. And, Mitty is looking like one of the most impressive teams of the year. Microphone Assassin, why don't you just give us a quick rundown of the standings?
Yeah. So we've got King Mitty Whoop'em going into first place, tied with a score of 7-3 against Josh .0, who's in second place. We've also got a whole lot of baby mamas with a 7-3 record in third place. Fourth place, we've got YMC3 Younger Than Ever. Fifth place, fucking trash ass team. I don't know why you're calling your team trash. You're 5-5.
Yeah, anyway. We need a rebranding still. We're still going through, player meetings and, rebranding, new names, new jerseys. It's all coming together. We'll be ready for playoffs.
It's that negative reinforcement, huh?
Yeah, it works. It works.
Negative energy.
If you trash your team, they will play much better.
Yes. I refuse. Anyway, in sixth place, we've got Celtics, 5-5. Seventh place, we've got Fourth Down Syndrome, 4-6. Eighth place, We Are So Back, 4-6. Ninth place, Team Nando, 4-6. 10th place, Mr. J Rock's E-Kittens, myself, 4-6. 11th place, we've got Better Woman Respecters, Mr. Gav, 4-6. And 12th place, we've got Useless Waste of Sperm, 3-7.
Yeah,
man. It's so funny that we just went over this, and obviously King Mitty Whoop'em is first right now, and Josh .0 and Dylan are right behind him. But I'm at fifth here, 5-5, came off a 5-game losing streak, and shockingly, maybe unshockingly, I'm still first in points scored. Only person with more than 1,400 points. 200 more than Dylan, who's 2 places ahead of me.
Yeah, I don't need to face up with you currently, G. And we're currently faced up against each other. I'm hoping there's some movement there. Bryant makes his way into the playoff line. He's in 8th place right now. And then honestly, like the last 4 teams here, it's a tie. It's all a tie here at 4 and 6. It's just a matter of points scored. And then Useless Waste of Sperm, Ugly Kid, he's only 1 game out. So it's anyone's league at this point. Very close.
I need to make sure I win this week so I can separate myself from our group of friends here at 4 and 6. Especially you, J-Rock. I'm not liking what I'm seeing over there. 2-game win streak for him, 3-game win streak for Bryant. Man, I don't like it. I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't know if my team's anything to worry about, but I would definitely be a little bit cautious of Mr. We Are So Back.
What do you mean? You have the second coming of Derrick Henry and Rico Dowdle.
Yeah, I do.
Oh man, but yeah, it's gonna be a fun finish to the season. I don't think we've had from top to bottom. I don't think it's ever been so close. Usually, we always have a guy or 2 teams that are just widely, ahead of everybody. I feel like it's still in contention. Like this standing was flipped on its head a couple weeks ago, and now it's like whole different. And I think in a few weeks again, it's gonna be like completely different. And it should be interesting how this season finishes out here.
Yeah, it is anybody's game at this point, and that's why you should keep tuning in. But thank you so much, J-Rock, for recapping the Listener League for Week 10. Hope you've been enjoying the season so far, and we are going to send it back to the podcast.
For sure, anytime.
All right. That was great. It's good to see you back on the winning side of things here, G.
I'm just happy to be back on the podcast in good moods and good, energy surrounding me, man. I feel like I was cursed.
Were you intentionally skipping at the end there until you got a win?
No, definitely not. I definitely wanted to be here, but due to scheduling conflicts, I could not.
Oh, okay. Of course.
Scheduling conflict.
Yeah.
Seasonal depression.
Whatever you want to call it, but, we're here now. That's what's most important, right?
Yeah, and by 1 point, unfortunately, you beat me for the high-scoring topic of the week.
I am happy to do so. Beating you for the highest score is not only just a personal pleasure, but it makes me feel powerful, right? Having so much control of, the topic here this week. But with that being said, the topic for this week, I'm going to keep it nice. I'm going to keep it simple. We're going to talk about our favorite commercials throughout the NFL season so far. We see so many of them in our game now. You might as well acknowledge them, I guess, right? I'll go first. My personal favorite is not one particular one. It's a series of the backups. They're absolutely hilarious. Very innovative idea. I'm not sure if I had a favorite one. Maybe the Case Keenum one is really good.
The Teddy Bridgewater one is my favorite one. It's like the one where he's talking to the girl. And,
she needs someone to listen to
the relationship problems. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Have you noticed? Because I had this pointed out to me, but every time the backups come in to replace the friend or whatever, they're wearing the exact same outfit as they are. I was like, damn, that's actually... And then Teddy Bridgewater, like, the girl is being replaced, so he's wearing, like, the same clothes as the girl, and I think he looks better in them than the girl.
It's always funny to think about, like, who do you think the next one is going to be, right? They kind of caught me off guard. I think the newest one was Mitchell Trubisky, which I didn't really see coming. So that's just cool to see him, obviously. But it was kind of like, I was thinking, who would be the next one? Like, what makes sense, right? And he makes a lot of sense. But so now I'm always just thinking, like, who could be the next one for the backups,
When's Carson Wentz coming on?
Well, he's going to come on in like a stretcher at this point.
Unfortunately. You can't get it in. Oh, man. I really like that one, G. I think that's probably my favorite one, too. I'll tell you my least favorite one, honestly, because I've been complaining about this one. Every time I tune out is the State Farm commercials. Like, they sometimes can be good, but this year they're just terrible. Like, the ones with the Meghan Trainor, or it's like the pirate coming. Like,
I don't understand that.
This
I don't
right?
understand that Meghan Trainor one. I don't get it. Like, I'm not even trying to sound like like a smart ass or anything. I genuinely just don't get the usually there's like a funny one-liner or something like that.
Yeah, it's not funny. That's the thing. Like, it's not funny. It's not interesting. Like, I
also never really knew what Meghan Trainor looked like. So, and then she came up, I literally asked my girlfriend, like, is that Meghan Trainor, or is that supposed to be like the knockoff of her, or like?
She looks a little different now. I think she lost a lot of weight. So
Ozempic.
yeah, potentially.
Yeah.
Can't speculate.
I have a very middling commercial. It's both like I'm impressed, but also I'm like kind of disgusted by it.
Oh,
It's
there
the
we go.
Arby's like steak nuggets commercial,
Oh, yeah.
where it's like I definitely would try it, and then I'd be eager to. But also like steak nuggets, something seems kind of gross about that. Like, why not just
think
cook
those
eat an actual
commercials-
steak?
I think that commercial is just so misleading because those steak nuggets are not going to look anything fucking like that. They look so good in those
I'm
commercials.
watching it right now. Yeah,
How do you
I'm watching
know,
it right
man?
now,
How do you
bro.
know? You gotta try
When
it.
they-
You gotta try it out.
No, I'm not trying Arby's. That's exactly to Brian's point. That is so good, but it's so disgusting at the same time because it's Arby's. You know what I mean? And it's like at the end of the day, you don't want to just go eat Arby's, but it looks good.
I have bad news for you, G, because now you just locked it in. We're gonna be eating steak nuggets at the end of the season on this podcast.
Make that
Just for fun.
the
just for
loser
fun.
challenge.
Just for fun. Imagine not even losing.
What if the loser challenge? What if the loser challenge was you eat like 10 orders of the steak nuggets, or you leave like 24 hours in an Arby's? You have to eat the steak nuggets.
one order
That'd
for
be
1 hour?
crazy.
Yeah, I feel like that's not even that hard, honestly.
Bro, those steak nuggets might be disgusting. What are you going to do then?
I mean, you might need a bypass afterwards, but like,
It's gonna mess up your insides, that's for sure.
Going to turn you into a cow.
Literally.
But dude, there's one thing I do want to mention. We're kind of talking about the higher score topic. Commercials are great, but I think one thing that kind of led to me having this win this week was that huge trade I made. As soon as the season or this week was about to start, I was very desperate. I told Matt that we would have organizational changes if we kept losing, and that's exactly what happened. So, with that being said, I traded with our favorite listener and Mick Youngboy, ugly kid. I don't know what his team name is right now. It's hard to keep up.
probably not great.
Useless waste of space. But we made a trade, and we don't really make too many trades here, but it was a massive trade. The trade exactly was I gave up Quinshaw Judkins, Jalen Waddle, and Quentin Johnson for Ladd McConkey and Jahmyr Gibbs. I think that was a great trade for me. For Youngboy, and Matt was trying to gaslight him by saying this trade is awful for him. But
Okay. I
but
didn't
but
say
my
that.
whole thing is the guy needs guys to play. He has dog shit players, and I gave him 3 starting players on his roster. That is a fact, and they didn't even play that bad. So it's just that Gibbs happened to have 38 points the week after he traded it to me. That's just unfortunate.
I didn't exactly say to McYoungboy that it was a bad trade, but I was a little confused by his willingness to give up Jahmyr Gibbs, because whenever I evaluate a trade personally, I always think who's getting the best player, who's the best player in the trade, and who's getting him. That's the person who's going to win. And I think that very clearly that was going to be Jahmyr Gibbs in this.
Okay, yeah, so 100% Jahmyr Gibbs is the best player, but then if you're going by that logic, the second best player in this trade is probably Jalen Waddle. The third best player in this trade is Quinshaw Judkins, and then the fourth player is Ladd, and then the fifth is Quentin Johnson. That's why it kind of makes
I don't
more...
necessarily agree with that, because I think Ladd is probably in the mix as third or second in this. Because since October, you've seen that the biggest thing I was confused about, because when I asked McYoungboy in the group chat, why did he do the trade, right? And he said to get rid of Ladd off my team. And I was like, okay, I see that in a way, but hasn't he been seeing the trend that Ladd's been on since, week 4, right? Because we know that since September, Quentin Johnson, he was going off for a while. He was having these big games. And then he directly did a Chargers for Chargers swap here, right? He bet on Quentin Johnson over Ladd. But honestly, the stats don't show that, right? Ever since October, Ladd's been outscoring Quentin Johnson. Like, he's been doubling up on his points. He has 17 points per game versus Quentin Johnson's 8 points per game. And then we saw that on Sunday Night Football, where Ladd is clearly starting to become, again, the alpha wide receiver. So I was just like, I don't know if you should have necessarily had to sell on Ladd. Like, I don't think that you had to do that, right? Especially for Quentin Johnson, which I felt like has been fading for a while now.
Yeah, I think that's a good point you brought up, like the reasoning behind the trade, and you asked Homeboy directly there, right? It's the idea that Quentin Johnson will be the better wide receiver well, maybe not necessarily he thinks he'll be the better wide receiver, but like Quentin Johnson will still be fine, and Ladd McConkey won't do as well as like, where you might be drafting him, at the start of the season there. I definitely agree, like the trends do speak differently. And like, yes, Quentin Johnson is still very much usable, kind of boom and bust, but probably more towards around like the low, like double digits, if not like 9 or 8, like 8 to like the low double digit points now, rather than like almost double points he was getting at the start of the season there. And then, yeah, I mean, G definitely got the best player to trade. I mean, G, you have Gibbs and you have McCaffrey now. You got the two best running backs in the league. That's a powerhouse right there.
Yeah, we're building something special here. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, and obviously beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I mean, that's why I don't believe in, unless it's like outright collusion. Like, I think that it's not an unfair trade. It's just a trade that, Mick Youngboy clearly valued Quinshon Judkins and Quinn Johnston and Waddle, and you got, Gibbs and Ladd. So I think it's a trade where I think you won, but I could see why Mick Youngboy would have made that trade. I personally wouldn't have made that trade, but Mick Youngboy made that trade.
And like I said, I mean, we were playing each other as you listen to the
recap. That's the weirdest thing. I was like, why did you guys do it before the game?
Well, I just knew he was desperate, and we've been, in weeks prior, have been, discussing a trade. We've been trying to work out something for one of these receivers. He had. I was really been interested in Ladd since the start of the season, but the hard part was it's like, how can I, trade for Ladd when I already got QJ? I didn't want both of them. So then, he really wanted to, make something happen for Waddle. So it just kind of all fell together at once, and it just happened to be the week we were playing each other and the week that Jahmyr Gibbs has 38 fantasy points. So
yeah, I don't know. I would never be able to trade Gibbs there, man. That's just, he's one of those guys where it's just like, he's one of one, right?
Yeah, but he's dead last, and then I think like when you're dead last, you do desperate things. I don't think you'd make that same trade if you're higher in the ranks, right?
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, and to be fair for Youngboy here, like he had drafted guys like Rashee Rice and Addison who weren't there for the start of the season. Those guys are back, and I feel like maybe we got rid of Gibbs there, but he just has more pieces, like playable pieces, because the roster he has, he definitely was searching for just anyone he could play. That's more than just like a boom bust kind of flex there. He definitely got, I think, a couple more pieces that he would need. So just kind of see, if that trading with star power, in terms of more stable players there will translate to some wins for him.
Yep. I mean, that is a good transition to our next topic here, because we have 4 weeks left until the fantasy football playoffs. Obviously, G and Mick Youngboy were able to make a huge trade at the trade deadline, before the trade deadline, but now is the time where everybody needs to start thinking about, what's ahead, and maybe making some moves right now before the trade deadline in order to make sure that your roster is the best it can be for the last 3 weeks of the season for fantasy playoffs, right? I think there are other moves that you can make that aren't just, for the rest of the season, but specifically for those 3 weeks right there. And we're going to kind of talk about that and kind of discuss the playoff trade targets that you can target specifically for those 3 weeks. And this has kind of always been a controversial topic, I believe, because sometimes the schedule isn't always going to mean everything, right? Just because a mediocre player has a favorable playoff schedule doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to pop off, right? They could just still be mediocre. They could still be the same. And honestly, when you want to make God laugh, you make a plan, right? So it's not always going to work out the way you want to, but this is just a little bit of advisement, kind of just showing you what the schedules are going to be like, maybe potential trade targets that you should consider based off those playoff schedules. Just don't take it as gospel as these guys are going to pop off on those weeks. We're just showing you what the favorable and unfavorable playoff schedules look like at the moment.
Yeah, I think I'm not the biggest fan of this methodology, but it is proven to be helpful for sure.
Yeah. Let's get into it. Let's get to the most favorable playoff schedules. We're going to go from week 14 through 17. I know that most playoffs start week 15, but sometimes you need a little extra push, right? Maybe you're going to be on that last, win and get in situation for the last week of the fantasy season. So we're going to expand it a little, the range to week 14. So the most favorable schedules left. So I want to discuss this one because this is the biggest one. Minnesota currently has the most favorable playoff schedule for every single position at this moment. They have Washington, Dallas, Giants, and Detroit as their last 4 games for the fantasy season. Dallas and Giants are obviously huge, bad defenses. Washington has suddenly become a very bad defense. So in terms of quarterback, running back, and wide receiver, they have top 3 most favorable schedules for all 3 of those positions. But I think the biggest thing is like, do we necessarily trust what is going on in Minnesota right now? Because that's like, I'm thinking about like trading for like an Addison or a Jefferson, right? But do we really want that, right? I don't know yet, personally.
Me personally, I'd be okay with it, especially Jefferson. We're going to go down memory lane here. Last year, around this time, I made a trade for Jefferson with Jamar, and I ended up winning the Sports Council League last year. And Jefferson obviously played fantastic. And he's been kind of playing a little lackluster of recent. A lot of bad body language kind of things going around. And especially just with the whole team, morale's down. It's a great time to go get Jefferson. I would definitely look into it. It's going to be something similar to the type of trade I did for Gibbs. You're going to have to give up one of your star players and then maybe another player and then do some type of 2-for-1. And I'm totally okay with that. As long as you're getting Jefferson and, you're getting the best player in the trade, it's always going to be a good trade. I would look in for Jefferson especially. I'd probably be off the running backs, maybe Hawkinson if you're desperate.
Yeah, I feel like maybe not like a buy low opportunity for Jefferson, but I feel like especially this week, I saw a lot of, mentions on like Twitter, Reddit, and all about how, people were like, I've never seen Justin Jefferson play with such poor attitude before, like giving up on plays after I think after McCarthy threw like a pick, he didn't even try to chase the guy there. And
that's the same clip I
people
saw.
People who follow that are going to be like, maybe if the guy in your league who does have Jefferson really buys into that, like, oh shoot, Jefferson's given up on this season, you might be more inclined to trade him off for, a decent deal at that point there too. But I think that would make sense. Jefferson, top wide receiver in the league for few years now. I don't think he's just gonna fall off the wayside towards the end of this season here. He's very much playable.
I think my biggest concern though with that is that I obviously think Jefferson's top 5, top 3 elite wide receiver, but I'm just concerned that McCarthy is that bad at the moment, right? And I just don't know if I can trust McCarthy with a good schedule. Like, the targets are still there. He had 12 targets last week, 4 receptions. And I think I saw somewhere where it said basically his catchable ball rate with JJ McCarthy so far, in all of the starts so far, has been 50%. So basically you're having those targets, right? That's my biggest concern. So it's just a matter of like, I would trade for Jefferson, but what would I give up in that case? Would you give up like an elite player for Jefferson at this point? Let's one of your like star producers. Like, I know what you said, G. Like, would you trade Ladd for a Jefferson?
I would trade Ladd and one of my running backs for Jefferson. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see where I can find the line here. You already traded Waddle away. Would you trade Waddle away?
Yeah.
Would you trade Drake London for Jefferson?
No, not right now. Not right now.
Okay.
I just think like depending on like what do you say London? Do I still have to? Am I still adding one? I can't be adding anything, right? It'd be 1-for-1 at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and at that point, I mean, I would just keep the guy I have.
Yeah, I think if you have a producer right now that's elite, I would not trade him. Like, for example, like Javonte Williams, the Cowboys running back, he's been producing every single week. I can't give up that stability for a little bit of instability there.
What about something like you mentioned Ladd, and then what about like one of those younger running backs? Like if you had a Travion or I don't know who else they like. Oh, even a Judkins or Woody Marks. Like some of these guys are kind of like more unknown. So let's say you have a star wide receiver and then a second tier running back. Like, would you make that trade?
If it was like a Waddle and a Travion for a Jefferson, I would be inclined to do it. I'd be inclined to do it. A rookie running back, like a little bit more instability there. That counters the instability of Jefferson, right? It's the same kind of like, who knows what the situation's going to be like in a couple weeks. So I'd be okay with that.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's about right. And I agree with you. I think I'd be okay with that as well.
Yeah. some notable other quarterback favorable schedules other than Minnesota, because, I mean, you can't. I'm pretty sure J.J. McCarthy is a very easy target in the trade, or if he's on waiver wires. Baltimore and Indianapolis are the other two favorable schedules. So if you're looking for Lamar, if the Lamar owner is willing to sell, that would be interesting. Indianapolis, Daniel Jones could be very useful. But let's move on to the running backs here, because that is probably going to be one of the biggest targets. 3 most favorable schedules other than Minnesota are Washington, San Francisco, and Cleveland. I don't think you're getting McCaffrey here.
I don't want to go and get.
Are you trading for Bill?
No, so yeah, I'm not trading for Bill. Exactly my
That's
whole
the
point.
thing. That's what I was going to bring up.
I'm totally good off of Bill. And, mentioning the Vikings again, as you mentioned them earlier, they have the easiest. So I'm definitely good off Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason as well.
Interesting. You don't think that they're going to do anything?
I just don't want to be in that issue of like, hey, I trade for Aaron Jones, but from 2 weeks from now, he's dealing with some kind of minor 1 to 2 week injury, and now they're splitting carries again, or vice versa, or whatever the case is with those guys. It's just, I don't like it, and I don't want any part of it.
Yeah, I think in this situation, I wouldn't trade for these guys, but I would hold these guys. Like JCM, oh man, like
I have JCM in our sports council league, and I don't even know what to do with him. I don't know last time I started him, and and it's like I don't want to cut him because he's like starting running back and projected 12 points a game.
I don't think you can buy those projections anymore.
He's with Jerry McNichols, Chris Rodriguez, and they're all basically combining forces and giving you 6 PPR points per week or something like that. All 3 of them are at that level. There's all kind of just dragging themselves down in Washington, and then Minnesota too is hurt. Aaron Jones is hurt. Kind of a split backfield situation there. Those are two backfields where it's just a lot of uncertainty, but also just too many mouths to feed right now.
Yeah, the only thing I'd look at is Washington. If Chris Rodriguez starts to break out, because they named him team captain last week, and he had a touchdown. I think he got hurt, though, unfortunately, in that same game. But if he starts to grow a little bit more into the starting role, I'd consider him. I'd try to, he'd probably on waiver wire still, but keep an eye out.
Did you just say the Chris Rodriguez breakout?
Chris Rodriguez Jr. breakout.
All right.
You never know. You never know in the playoffs. Jerick McKinnon was a stud. Oh my God! There are random playoff studs every year that win leagues. So it would not be the most surprising.
Jake Browning 2 or 3 years ago, man, won everybody a league if you were starting him at quarterback.
And that's Jake Browning. So anything can happen. All right, wide receivers. Minnesota again is at the top of this list. Baltimore, Detroit, and Arizona. That's a little interesting there. I think Arizona, it's because Cincinnati is at the bottom there, but they got Houston and Atlanta as well.
Yeah, those are the two, literally, I think 1 and 2 toughest for wide receivers right now. If anything, you might want to get away from Marvin Harrison, trade him off before then. Houston, Atlanta, that's right in the middle. That's the playoffs right there,
I don't think you can buy that. Cincinnati must be so bad that, it's skewing this schedule here. But
if you make it to the finals, Marvin Harrison pops off. There you go.
There you go. Yeah. If you can get that far with him being asked, then you reward yourself with maybe one good week.
Yeah. I think Detroit's the most advantageous right here. Dallas, the Rams are obviously going to be tough, but Pittsburgh and Minnesota are pretty favorable, I think. And I don't think you can get Amon-Ra St. Brown here, but maybe a Jamison Williams. You're kind of in that teetering of oh my gosh, this is so uncertain at this point. Would you rather trade for Jordan Addison or Jamison Williams? Because they both got favorable schedules.
Jamison, I think.
Really?
Yeah,
I might lean Addison.
In my opinion.
Really?
I think if I'm picking between the two, my problem with Addison is although he does have that high ceiling too, I think it's much easier for Jamison to achieve that and to have bigger games. If you went, if he was at next 4 to 5 weeks, how many weeks is the Vikings offense scoring 30 points? I might say 0. I don't know, maybe once. And if you ask me how many times the Lions going to score 30, I'd probably say every game almost, maybe. I don't know, like get close to it every game. Like there's going to be a lot more touchdowns scored, a lot more offense. If I'm picking between those two guys, I would have to settle with Jameson Williams over at Jordan Addison.
Yeah. I think this week could be very indicative of it. Oh, like, because Jameis had, I think his last 2 weeks, he's been actually popping out. He's becoming the player that we thought he'd be for your draft value there. But I think this week against the Eagles, right, this is going to be a tougher defensive matchup. I'd be eager to see kind of how he does against, that tougher opposition there, to see maybe that be an indication of, if he's still doing all right at that point there, it might be good to target him towards this latter part of the season.
I think the difference between JMO and Addison is that JMO, he's going to score. When he pops off, he's going to pop off, right? He's going to get at least 22. He's going to get a touchdown in the games where the Lions are trying to, basically they have an advantageous matchup. And because the Lions, for some reason, they like blowing out teams. They're going to try to blow you out. Even against Washington, they didn't need to score 44 points, but they did. And JMO got a touchdown in that because everyone's going to eat in that situation. So I think when the going gets good, JMO's going to score. But I think Addison's a little bit more consistent in what he gives you. So, yeah, it's hard to say. I think if you look at the playoff matchups again, Detroit gets Dallas, which I think obviously they're going to just score at will on that team. And then Rams are tough. Pittsburgh's could happen. Minnesota, I don't know about that for the championship. But then Minnesota, you got Washington, Dallas, and New York in the first three. So I feel like on all of those, like, it's hard not to score on those three teams. Unless, like, J.J. McCarthy's, like, incredibly just horrific. So,
which there's a chance, I guess.
Yeah, there's always a chance of that.
Yeah. Because there's also, right, Justin Jefferson, Addison, Jalen Naylor, I think, had over 100 yards this last game, too. What if Naylor comes out of nowhere and starts stealing targets, too? But yeah, I just feel like Minnesota has such great matchups, but just so much uncertainty around their offense right now. It's, kind of have to see.
Yeah. All right, tight ends real quick. Indianapolis, you're not getting Tyler Warren, but Baltimore and Miami, they have the next two most favorable schedules. Mark Andrews is something to watch for, I think, because ever since Lamar's been back, Mark Andrews has been getting touchdowns, and he gets Cincinnati in his playoff schedule. And Cincinnati is allowing literally, like, I think double the amount of points as the next worst tight end defense. Like, they've allowed, like, I want to say like a lot of touchdowns to the tight end position. So I would target anyone with Cincinnati on their schedule at this point.
I feel like that's like a cheat code, right?
Yeah, and it should be a shootout again because Burrow is going to be back, right? So I think that they're going to have to score points. Baltimore, Cincinnati, it's probably going to be like, I think they had a Thursday night matchup last year where it was like crazy shootout. So I could see Mark Andrews, like the team owner of Mark Andrews, he's probably not super satisfied at the moment. So try to make a trade out there.
Yeah, that's an easy trade, I think, too. If you're really you want to play schedules, you go find Mark Andrews, you're going to get 2 Bengals weeks. That's an easy trade you can make happen if you want to play schedules.
Yeah, and I know we didn't talk about it briefly, but the wide receivers, Baltimore was the most favorable. Are you looking at all at Zay Flowers, or?
I mean, what's the cost, right? At this point, it can't be that expensive, but it's can you rely on him in a playoff fantasy game to win?
I can't. I don't think
I can't either. I just want to look at it and be like, wow, the Ravens didn't pass the ball again today, and I still traded and started this receiver. I don't know. It's like one of those things where you're going to look back and be like, why did I even do this,
Yeah.
I had Zay last year, ran away from him this year to haven't checked up on him. But checking up on him now, he's averaging low double-digit points, I think, for the last 5 or 6 games. So, I mean, if you want to trade for a flex-level player like that, wide receiver 3 like that, I mean, if you need it, sure, but that's what you're probably going to get. And probably won't get much better through this playoff season.
This makes sense if you're a fringe 8th seed, and you're just I want to take a swing. If I end up making playoffs, I might have a guy that can pop off for me.
Yeah, I can't. He's not going to pop out. Sorry. He has 1 touchdown in week 1. Nothing
Christ,
since.
Man.
Nothing since.
It means he's due, man.
No. There's no due in the Ravens offense. It's just Derrick Henry. Yeah. All right. Least favorable, just quickly covering that. Kansas City, unfortunately, has the least favorable matchup out of the quarterback, wide receiver, and tight ends because they face Houston, Chargers. Tennessee is favorable, but then Denver for the championship weekend. I don't think you can necessarily pivot off Mahomes, obviously, but when it comes to those fringe players like Xavier Worthy, for example, for the wide receivers, Travis Kelce, you might need to sell on him at this point because that's just really tough. Like Houston and Denver is really tough. Chargers is pretty good as well.
I mean, yeah, Houston will basically just wipe out your wide receivers for the week. Like, I've definitely been sitting the guys against Houston because they can kind of clean house.
And then for the running backs, the least favorable schedules right now is Chicago, who gets Green Bay twice, and they currently allowed the least points to running backs this season. And then they also get Cleveland in the middle of that. So your Monangai, your Swift Wars, maybe you need to trade them both at this point. Like, do you buy too much into Chicago? You gotta sell these guys? Or
I don't know. If I have Monangai, I'm not selling him just because it's like you probably picked him up off waiver wire. So, like, what's your expectations on trading him? Maybe if I have Swift and someone's interested, I could try to flip him for like a more stable wide receiver or something. But, it's late into the season. I'm not trading running backs blindly just because it's hard. Difficult in terms of like their own share. I think at this point, if you have Monangai, you picked him up off waiver wires, you're like, just rock out with him, see what happens. Like if he gets a chance to start again, then you know that he's going to be a reliable starter. If not, then you picked him up off waiver wire. He can sit on the end of your bench. It's not going to be that big of a deal.
Yeah, that might be a hold in bench if necessary.
Yeah, it's such a tough schedule. If you're trading with anyone with a brain and they read the schedule, if they just look at it, they're going to be like, yeah, no. I do not want any of those guys.
And that's the thing, though, because right now you're looking forward-facing into the future. They're looking at the matchups right now. So you kind of have to play it in the sense that maybe you trade for these guys like an Addison or a Jefferson. I don't know. I didn't look at the schedule currently, but maybe right now they have a tough matchup like for the next 2 weeks, right? So they're looking at that and saying, okay, sure, I'll sell Jefferson. But you're actually looking for kind of the future facing like, okay, but I get him for the 4 weeks that really matter to me, right? So it depends on like, try to see what their value is at the moment. And they might be looking a little bit more like, I need to win now. Like Mickey Youngboy, he needs to win now. So he's willing to trade for players that maybe will help him win now. But G gets players that will help him obviously win later in the playoffs. So it's kind of that value perspective there. Last couple of things to cover here. Tennessee, very bad running back schedule, but I think it's just bad all around there. And Denver gets Green Bay, Jacksonville, Kansas City in their last 3 weeks of the playoffs. So J.K. Dobbins owners, R.J. Harvey owners, it's a little concerning right there. Again, I don't know if you trade them. You might want to sell high on J.K. Dobbins, but either way.
I think Dobbins kind of falls in the same conversation as Swift, where like he's that more veteran, kind of less like likely to continue throughout the year to playing at the same level. I would definitely think about trading Dobbins before the young guys. I would stick it out. Harvey falls in the same conversation. The Monangai, he probably got him off waivers. There's no real reason to trade him unless you're getting like an offer or he's going to be part of a trade, to get someone much bigger. Then yes, obviously. But otherwise, I think I keeping the things the way they are with those guys.
One last one I want to highlight. It didn't necessarily translate to the playoff schedule, but the Patriots running backs have probably the most advantageous schedule for running backs for the rest of the season. They get Cincinnati, Giants, Buffalo, Baltimore, and the Jets, who just traded away all their defenders. So, Travion Henderson owners, Ramondre Stevenson owners, it's a good day for you guys. Yeah. Keep on holding.
Keep on holding. Rise up.
Travion truthers.
It's time for me to try starting Henderson after benching him all this time, and we'll see how well he does. He's probably going.
You didn't start Henderson this week. Can't relate. Can't relate.
Just wait. They're gonna find some dude. Do you realize that Terrell Jennings got hurt in the game, and then I think some other running back was in the game as well, and he got hurt. So they literally had no other choice but to start Henderson and play him, and he does that, right? It's like they literally were forced to their last possible option for some reason, was Henderson. It's just, I don't get it. I don't get it at all. Okay.
I don't know what their problem. I don't know what their problem with Travion really is. It must be like stemming back to like their grandparents or something.
They're jealous of his huge. We're moving on. So we're gonna go. I don't want to say it. That was our trade targets for the playoffs. If you have any trade questions or want to just kind of workshop a trade idea with us, come to our Discord, join, tag us on social media. We will definitely take a look at it. We got all of us here, and we will discuss it among ourselves and give you our answer on all of those. All right, let's move on to our Week 11 starts and sits. Not a great week last week.
Well, wasn't here.
Yikes.
Wasn't here. I understand, guys. You know, you have some of you guys filling in for me and stuff. It's just not the same, you know.
No, it's not. And also, our cheat codes of always targeting the Bengals and the Titans' defenses didn't work because they were both on bye. So we struggled a little bit. Yeah.
We kind of just copped out on wide receiver sits too. Like Brian Thomas didn't even play. So sorry, guys. We gave you nothing.
Yeah. 5-7 last week. Could have been worse. Could have been much better. But we are looking to bounce back here. So why don't you kick us off here, Bryant?
I sure will. So we'll go off with a streamer start you can look for. Probably pick him up off the waiver wire still. We got Marcus Mariota versus Miami Dolphins there. Of course, we've been kind of shitting on the Commanders for a bit now. I mean, they seem pretty dysfunctional at this point. Daniels is hurt, but Mariota, he did pretty well for himself last week there. I think he threw for over, classic over 200 yards, a couple of tutties there. And he's going up against, I think he's kept some of that rushing upside. And he's going up against, of course, the Miami defense, which is also one of the defenses you should always be targeting this year. And in the divisional matchup, I think you can, if you are struggling at quarterback, maybe your guy is hurt or on bye, you could look towards Mariota against the Dolphins here.
Yeah, I'd straight throw up if I had to start Mariota at quarterback. But, I mean, G and I in our Dynasty League, we started Davis Mills and Jacoby Brissett at quarterback last week. And it paid off big time.
Good choices
That
there.
was the best two quarterback production we probably had all year. Mind you, we have Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, Davis Mills scored 27 points. He was the QB1 last week. So anything can happen. So I'm going to go with two elder statesmen at quarterback here. And I'm a young men's club kind of guy, but sometimes you got to pay respect to your elders. And I'm going to pay respects to Aaron Rodgers and Joe Flacco in the rematch against each other. And you might think, the sequel is never as good as the original. But I just think it's hard to not, just to say like, oh, it's going to disappoint after last time. These two are still fairly not great defenses right now. Cincinnati, we obviously know at this point, they're bottom tier. They give up, again, 24 points per game to the quarterbacks this season. Aaron Rodgers still has it in him. He could probably feast against them. And, they're looking to bounce back after a pretty bad showing in LA. And then Pittsburgh's only 2 spots behind them in terms of giving up points to the quarterbacks. They also allow 22 points per game to the quarterbacks this season. And Joe Flacco is still slinging it. I think he's basically had like a quarterback one kind of performance every time he's been out there, except for maybe one game at this point. And it's hard not to when you have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, right? So ever since he got to Cincinnati, he had quarterback 14 against Green Bay, but then after that, quarterback 6, quarterback 7, quarterback 2. So he could honestly be an every week starter for you going forward. Like I firmly believe that at this point. So I'd start both of them.
Man, dude, I'm hoping you're right about this, but I don't have a good feeling about this game either.
For your Steelers or just for the entire game?
Everything about the game. Fantasy, I think the fantasy hopes people are getting a little too high. I think the Steelers are suck ass, and I don't know. I think the world is expecting what they expected on that Thursday night football game to happen again, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's just two teams that offenses just look like crap.
Well, you're probably not going to like my next pick here then, G, because I am continuing to invest in this game. I'm going to go with Jaylen Warren as my running back start of the week against Cincinnati.
I like Warren.
I like Warren too, and I know that I just said that Steelers have an unfavorable schedule in the playoffs, but that doesn't mean you can't start Warren now. Again, Cincinnati is one of the worst defenses. In fact, they are the worst defense to running backs this season by 5 points. They allow 5 more points than the second worst running back defense right now, which is Tennessee. 27 points per game to the running back position so far. That's staggering. 27 points per game.
Jesus.
So
That's
I don't know
insane.
how much I can explain at that point. Yeah. It's ridiculous. And plus they didn't make any trade moves at the deadline to improve that defense. Like Dallas, maybe there's a little bit more uncertainty on targeting that defense because they got 2 big pieces in Quinnen Williams and I guess Logan Wilson if you count that, right? Cincinnati sold that linebacker to the Cowboys. So yeah, I'm fairly confident that Cincinnati is going to continue to be bad.
Yeah, that's tough. That one, I hope you're right about. But like I said, I'm not got my expectations set the same way Matt does. But we're targeting these bad defenses. We're going to continue to keep targeting these bad defenses. I'm going to go after one of the worst in Tennessee, Woody Marks versus Tennessee this week. Coming off one of his best games so far this year. I think he's going to continue to build on it. I don't know if CJ is going to play, but regardless, you're playing the Titans. You don't want to do too much. You don't want to, overextend what you need to do. It's very simple. I think very straightforward game this week for them. You're going to go in there. You're going to get Marks the ball. You're going to let him cook, and then you're going to try to get out of there safe and sound. Move on to next week with your easy win against Tennessee. Their defense has been awful all year. And mind you, when they first played, back in week 4, Woody Marks had 27.9 points. He was RB6. He had 2 touchdowns, a bunch of catches, a bunch of rushing yards. I think it's very similar. He keeps getting his consistent 2 to 3 catches a game. So this is where we want him to be. This is exactly the type of player that's going to pop off against a bad team. And, it's expected. So hopefully Woody Marks can deliver here.
Yeah, if Mark's, getting those receptions, that's definitely his strong suit there. So if he gets a bunch of receptions, in addition to his rushing yards, there's definitely pop off again. It's always a good sign. With this is the second game of the season, they beat them already. Woody Marks did great. I definitely agree. Want him to pop off again this week. And I can go next here. So going for wide receiver is going to give you guys another more of kind of like a flex player to look for. Jacoby Myers versus the Chargers. Expecting him, as always, to get around that 7 to 9 kind of PPR points. And people were fearing that, right? It was Myers' first game in the Jaguars uniform, going up against a tough Houston defense. And he still ran out there and got his 7 points. And I think he got the most yards, even over Parker Washington in that game there, too. So Myers, despite being on a new team, had plenty of usage. Once again, going up against a tough defense in the Chargers. But I'm still calling him to get those classic, 7 to 9 solid flex / wide receiver 3 kind of points there. So look for him for your flex spot.
I mean, I like that. It's just kind of scary. The Chargers defense really good. I just watched them destroy my team live, so I don't know if I'm trying to try them again. But I'm going to look for the bad defenses, target them. I watched football this Sunday, like many people did, and watched the Seattle Seahawks put up 35 points with 7 minutes left in the second quarter against the Arizona defense. And that was probably the worst defensive, performance I've seen in a while. And we have a returning rookie Pearsall. Yeah, I like that. As long as he plays, he will be my start of the week at wide receiver against Arizona. There's a chance Purdy's also coming back. I would love for that. I would even if Purdy and Pearsall came back, I think that's just 2 thumbs up for Pearsall. That's just even better news. That's what you want to hear. And I think that, regardless if it's not him, then I'd kind of just trickle down the order. I think they're going to have a good passing offense against this Arizona defense. Kind of feels like their best way to attack that defense. So I like Pearsall this week. It's a good matchup. I think they can replicate a lot of what Seattle did going against Arizona here.
If Ricky Pierre, if he ever comes back,
If he ever comes back, yeah. It's a very big if with any of these Niners coming back. There's a great chance I said Purdy and Pearsall are coming back. Neither is coming back this week, so who knows?
He might be dead, so who knows?
Just shut down the whole Niners offense defense for the season. We just got to recover for the rest of the year.
Essentially,
I am shocked that we came out with no injuries last week. Shocked.
That's hilarious. But that being said, it's the best part of our starts and sits. If you don't know, we don't just start for tight ends. We do a tight end touchdown guarantee. Completely original, not replicated anywhere else. I'll start us off. Give me Zach Ertz against Miami. Do we really think Miami's going to play this good 2 weeks in a row? Absolutely the fuck not. They're about to get absolutely destroyed. And not even just destroyed, it's going to be like the most sad way possible too. It's what Miami's meant to do. You know, like they're over there celebrating and stuff. They're going to get torched by Zach Ertz nonetheless. Give me the touchdown guarantee.
I like it, man. Team up was my Mariota pick. Mariota, the Ertz, you get the touchdown guaranteed. I get Mariota as a good pick, so let's feast. And I'll go with for my touchdown guaranteed. We're going to go back to Theo Johnson versus Green Bay, where I don't think Theo Johnson actually had a touchdown last week, but he had a great receiving day. I think he went for over 70 yards. Probably got your PPR over like 12 points there. Going up against Green Bay, where I think at this point, Dart has found his weapons, at least in the passing game. The running game isn't going nowhere for the Giants, so we're going to be throwing it to guys like Theo Johnson. Green Bay, I think kind of like an average probably defense against the tight ends. So I would definitely look for TJ's way against the Packers.
Yeah, there's literally no options left for Dart at this point, so Theo's been getting a lot of run lately. And I'm going to triple down on my starts of the week. Pat Freiermuth versus the Cincinnati Bengals right here. Why am I doing this? Again,
You're
very
really
much
just fucking us. No, fuck you, dude. You're fucking
You're just
very much
trolling
want
G.
to. No, but at a certain point, you have to say like, I understand the theory that, you know, the sequel isn't as good as the original. The rematch is not going to be as high scoring. But if you're going to show me a defense as bad as Cincinnati here, and you're going to tell me not to start any of these players, just logically, in a vacuum, it makes sense to start every single one of them. Because, guys, the worst defense, the second worst defense, Jacksonville, has allowed 7 touchdowns to tight ends this season. What do you think Cincinnati allows in terms of touchdowns? How many touchdowns have they allowed to the tight end position this season?
Probably a lot. Like
I don't even want to know.
I think every team's tight end probably scored.
They've allowed 12 touchdowns in 9 weeks to the tight end position. Multiple touchdowns per game. I think, Colson Loveland last week, the week before, had 2, I think. So that's probably where it comes from. But 12 touchdowns to tight ends. Yeah, touchdown guaranteed to Pat Freiermuth. Give me that.
Not Jonnu Smith or Darnell Washington.
Start all of them. Start both of them.
Okay. I respect it. I'm not sure if I could say the same. As I said, Steelers break my heart every week.
Nothing can go wrong now. All Steelers starts.
Nothing can go wrong.
If none of this is right next week, Matt, we're going to have some problems. That's all
I think I'll be banned from the graphic. I think that's part of it. But
G's going to be coming for you, man.
Well, let's move on to our sits of the week here. I am going to sit a controversial quarterback here. I'm going to go with Patrick Mahomes versus the Denver Broncos. And I'm not saying to sit him completely. This is one of those fade picks where I'm just saying to expect less from Mahomes here. Because against the Denver Broncos, this is a divisional matchup. Sometimes weird things happen in divisional matchups. And for some reason, Mahomes has not performed as well against the Denver defense under Sean Payton and Vance Joseph recently. In the last 4 games against the Denver defense, Patrick Mahomes has averaged 1.25 touchdowns, at least 1 interception per game, and about 285 yards, which is good for about 15 points in fantasy. So I know he has all his weapons back, and that's probably going to be a big thing, but I would just caution against believing that Mahomes is going to have a big day. Maybe consider putting some more volatile players in the rest of your lineup in order to account for Mahomes potentially failing in this situation.
Yeah, I'm going to keep with you in that exact same matchup there. Flip side of the coin, Mahomes versus Denver, is Bo Nix versus the Chiefs there. Much for the same reason, right? Both of these two teams have very strong defenses. And especially for Bo Nix, he came off easily his worst game of the season. I think he had like single-digit points as a QB versus the Raiders of all teams there, and threw more interceptions than touchdowns.
He's suck. Awful this all year.
He's terrible, honestly.
And if you're looking,
he's so hard to watch, dude. Oh
yeah,
he's all over the place. And if you're looking for, Mo Nix, he's been my guy all year. He's gonna have that get good game. Casey's probably one of the worst teams to hope that against. And yet, honestly, and for my sake for fantasy, there, as long as Bo Nix isn't throwing to his what should be his clear wide receiver one, in Cortland Sutton, I don't think he's going to be doing too well out there. So, praying for Sutton, he gets more points out there. I think Casey will I think Bo Nix will have yet another poor game against the Chiefs.
Yeah, I'd really hate having to start Bo Nix because I know he's been doing well in fantasy, but he does not pass the eye test so far. It looks really bad right now.
It looks awful. It's so hard to watch.
I think I saw some analysis where it's all the games that he pops off have been the easy defenses, and he just has not been doing good against the actual defenses out there. So it's pretty much matchup dependent for him. And then Casey is going to be all in the red.
Plus, they have a .60 point differential in the fourth quarter, and the other 3 quarters they don't do anything. So basically, you're waiting for the fourth quarter for them to go off. So it's hard. It's very hard. Someone that also has been very hard to kind of watch for a little bit now is Travis Etienne, and he's going to go up against the LA Chargers here. Etienne had a very solid start to the season, but it has been fading pretty fast here. It has honestly been fading fast in Jacksonville in general. And, he's been putting up decent numbers. And against the Chargers, they're not the worst defense to go up against in terms of the run. They have a run-funnel defense. They'd much rather you run versus pass. But I honestly just think that the entire Jacksonville offense gets shut down next week versus the Chargers. It's getting to a point where I think that they're starting to collapse. And they collapsed against Houston last week. And I know they put up a lot of points, surprisingly, against a very top-tier Houston defense. But I think, honestly, something happens when you blow a game like that, psychologically. I think that it's just not going to be a very good time the rest of the way for Jacksonville. And I think it's going to start in LA.
Man, that makes sense. The Charger defense is really good. And, we're always targeting for these sits the good defenses. I think the best defense against running backs, especially against the run itself, has been New England. And Breece Hall is going against New England. And, we talk about vibes a lot. And there can be worse vibes coming out of New York if possible. The man didn't even want to play for them anymore. And now he's forced to go out there and play fucking running back for them. It's just insane. And it's such a difficult matchup. It's Thursday night. It's a shit week always when you play Thursday night and the morale is so bad. There's a chance they might not score a touchdown. They don't even know what quarterback's starting. It's just a mess, like I said.
But the Jets are on a 2-game winning streak. The vibes are great.
That's true, but it's more about the mental battle. You know what I mean?
Fair enough.
It's not about the team morale. It's about the individual and just the team still knowing that we might win 2 games and we still have the second pick in the draft.
Yeah. I can't argue with that, honestly. I wouldn't want Breece Hall. I would really want to sell Breece Hall at the moment. Do what the Jets didn't do and trade him.
Ooh, that was deep. I like that one. Yeah, with that being said, I'll do my wide receiver sit of the week. We're going to go to the guy that, we're not sure if he still plays football, plays maybe every other week. It's Zay Flowers against Cleveland. It's a hard matchup. Cleveland always gives them fits. And if they don't give them fits, it's so weird. It's like on the games they don't give them any fits at all, they're getting blown out by 150 or something, And the game's over anyways, regardless, right? Because it's not really close at that point. I like the matchup in terms of why I'm sitting him. The Browns' defense is always going to be respectable. It's just the way they're formatted. Myles Garrett's been really good. The rest of them are always kind of built around Myles Garrett, so it's hard to not be good in that sense, right? The matchup historically for Zay Flowers has been all right. He's consistently just mid, though, right now. Wide receiver 31, 32, 23, 39, 29, 23, 89, 27. And somehow week 1, he was wide receiver 1. I think he's kind of in line for just a mid to low week wide receiver 2 to 3. Like if you're a desperate flex option, you could probably still start him. But I don't think, you're drafting him in the 5th round at the beginning of the year to have him as your desperate flex play, right? So I think you could find better out there, especially if you have some waiver wire talent out there. There might be something available that you can pick up.
Yeah, Zay was very close to being on the mid report. I ultimately went with Romeo Doubs because I put him in a positive light there, that Romeo Doubs was able to get these points. But if it was Zay Flowers on the mid report, he would have been in a negative light there. And by the way, the poll results of the mid report are in. The fans chose, and I just wanted to briefly cover it. Mr. Kenneth Walker, you have won Mr. Mid 2025, so congratulations on that. We'll be sending your trophy in the mail right there.
That's huge for Kenneth Walker. We'll send it in the mail, and Zach Charbonnet will take it from you. So
we'll take it from
you. No, the other guy will. What's the dude's name?
Holani.
Holani, yes. Because you got to make sure everybody's ready to get trophies.
I'll give him like a third of the trophy. How's that?
There we go. Yes, that's wonderful. Fair, equal shares.
Yes.
Agreed. All right. So for the tight end sits, gonna go with Musgrave versus the Giants there. And I've used Luke Musgrave, yeah. I've used him before. But he's just not a Tucker Kraft out there. You're not gonna have that yak ability that Tucker Kraft was known for. And in the first game out was no Tucker Kraft. And to be fair, that was a very defensive, ugly game yesterday, Thursday, Eagles versus, or not Thursday, Monday, Eagles versus Packers there. Musgrave, I think, he had a couple catches, like 20 yards or so there. I think that's probably where it's gonna lie. Even against, the Giants, which is one of the better defenses out there, I think I'm going to say Love is going to look for other mouths to feed instead. More Josh Jacobs and some of the wide range of wide receivers they got. Your Dobbs, your Wicks, your Christian Watson. I think he'll look more in those directions.
Yeah, Musgrave could not be more opposite of Tucker Kraft. Like, I saw all the speculation, like, add Musgrave. He's going to replace Tucker Kraft in this offense. Musgrave falls over at the gust of a wind. Like he doesn't, like, he's not the yak guy. And I remember way back, and when we, maybe his rookie season, I did the Luke Musgrave start of the week at tight end, and I could not be more disappointed when I saw him play. He's not a very good player. And I don't want to be mean, but it's just not the same. You can't replace Tucker. You will never replace Tucker.
Yeah, I think that's hard. I mean, he's giving you so much production, and Luke Musgrave is I think when I was watching the Sunday night, they were talking about how he's a very, very ineffective pass blocker and run blocker. So that's the main reason Musgrave first came off the field, was a lot of the blocking issues. Yeah. And then you're also, just like you said, a middling receiver, so it's kind of hard to find that role for you in the offense, even though Tucker is out, right?
Exactly. And I honestly think they're probably just going to run it with Josh Jacobs and call it a day against the Giants, because they just need a win at this point. Don't get fancy here. So, my sit of the week is going to be Cade Otton versus the Buffalo Bills. Cade has been productive ever since Godwin and Evans have all been out. And I've mentioned this before on the podcast that whenever they are out, Otton steps up. But I just think it's a very bad matchup right now versus the Bills. They are the second best tight end defense currently against, in fantasy points, 2 tight ends. So, if you're really in a pinch, you could start him, but just know that this is a very tough matchup for Cade, and I would lean towards benching him.
It's so funny because he's the number 1 waiver wire transaction player for tight ends right now, and you're telling him that you shouldn't even pick him up.
It's a trap. It's a trap.
It's the Cade Otton experience. Soon we'll be lumping him in with the Hunter Henry experience, I think.
He is genuinely the most similar to Hunter Henry. Hunter Henry in the terms of just annoying tight end that's not bad enough to cut, not good enough to start.
He does have a very good playoff matchup scheduled, though. Carolina, Miami in those last 2 games. If Godwin and Evans are still out. The thing is with Cade, at least it's easy to know when to start him. Henry, it's just when am I going to do? When am I going to start him? It's hard. It's a lot harder. You have to guess that. With Otton, it's easy. If they're out, you usually start them. Just not this week. But that is our starts and sits for week 11. We will post a full list of our starts and sits on Saturday afternoon on all our social media platforms. Once again, that's at sports_council on Threads, on Twitter, and all of our social media handles. So be sure to tune in for that. Make sure to ask any of us for our start and sit questions, and you can join the Discord for that as well. You can put up a poll. We will definitely answer that. So once again, Discord link is in the bio for that. That is going to do it for today's podcast, everybody. What are you guys going to do for the rest of this day? We got the whole day off at this point. We recorded this in the afternoon. That's how early we are.
First time ever, right? This is where we recorded at this time of day.
I think this is the earliest we've ever recorded a podcast. So
incredible. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I have to go rush off now. I'm going to go respect some veterans.
I'm going to go beat my meat.
That's the contrast, boys. This is what we're all about. You guys beat your meat, or you...
Or you're respecting veterans.
Respecting veterans. That's how we roll.
But both can be tied to one saying, salute to service.
With that,
Yes,
I'm
sir.
going to just end it right here.
See you guys.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.